Hi everybody, it's Kay here from KayBayly.com, and today we're going to talk about why tapping will change your life. And I know that's a big statement, that something simple like going like this is going to change your life. But stay with me because I think you'll find that it does. So you've probably all heard about tapping by now. And certainly if you've been on my newsletter list, you've certainly heard about it. But it's now being mentioned everywhere. And it's really quite exciting for an EFT practitioner like me to see just how many everywheres it's being mentioned. So there was an insert in the weekend paper and it had a bit about tapping, I think all over Australia. Particularly some research that a professor of psychology is doing at the Bond University, and she's doing some amazing research. So she talks about that. You can see it now on TV, on regular TV shows. It's talked about all over the place. So I'm sure most of you will have heard about it. And it will also come up in conversation. So particularly in the heart-centered groups, in the types of groups that are on Facebook that most of us are listening to. People will talk about their issues, their problems, their stresses, their feelings, and someone will come along and say, have you tapped on that? And it really won't matter what the issue is. Someone will come along and say, have you tapped on that? So it really is something that's in all of our lives everywhere now. And so how is it going to make a difference? Well, I actually trained many years ago, in the 1980s, as a counsellor. I did a degree in psychology and then went ahead and did a postgraduate degree in counselling. And I worked for a number of years as a counsellor for the Step Family Association of Victoria. And it was probably the worst 2 years of my life. So I'd spent all of these years studying and training to become a counsellor. And I'm listening to these stories, and there were such sad stories. There was people in real strife and real trouble. And I would listen, they would tell me, and I would talk about, some stress relief techniques or some, write it out, or various, strategies that I had learnt that I could pass on to people. But I would finish the conversation feeling that I really hadn't made much difference. The person was still in the same trauma that they were in. They really didn't have any useful skills to getting out of it. And I felt awful, and they didn't really feel much better. And I had that experience in my life. I had a fairly difficult childhood and spent a lot of my 20s going to counsellors. And I can't really say that made that much difference. And that's really sad, isn't it? All the psychologists, all the counsellors, all the social workers out there, and many people, I've heard this story from so many people where they say it really didn't make that much difference. It helped a little bit, and, someone got me into here and, various little things happened. But people can go to counsellors for years and go, oh yeah, it helped a little bit. And I've had clients that have said that to me. They've spent 20 years going to counsellors off and on, and it didn't help as much as 1 hour of tapping helped. Just 1 hour. Imagine that compared to all the years and money and effort and trauma that someone went through with counselling. And that's why you will find now that the biggest group of people that are teaching tapping are people who are counsellors and psychologists. It's the psychology departments of the university that are actually researching the tapping, because they know that their tools are not helping, and they've found a tool that can really help. So what can it help for? Well, anything where stress is an issue. So every trauma, every fear, every phobia, all of the stresses, all of the junk that we grew up with, anything that's happened to you that's stressful, that's the range it can work for. Think of all those negative stories that you've had in your life, all of the experiences that didn't work out the right way. And imagine changing all those stories to now being able to see the positives. It doesn't mean that the story went away. Whatever happened, happened. You're a car accident or childhood abuse, whatever happened to you. But you can now put that into the emotionally okay bucket and find the positives. Feel the things that went right in your life instead of just noticing all of the bad stuff. And the other one that I think that makes the biggest difference is the self-love. And that's such a big issue for so many people, is when we tap, we say, and I love and accept myself. And people go, whoa, I can't say that. Well, imagine if you can't say that I love myself, then how is someone else going to be able to love you? Or how are you going to be able to give love if you can't give it to yourself? And that's one of the big ways that tapping is going to change your life. It's also going to help free you of any guilt, shame, fear, phobias, all of those things that are impacting on your life on a day-to-day basis. It can actually just eliminate all those. All gone. Completely gone. And I know that sounds too good to be true. I've had a client recently had a phobia of being in a closed room, so closing the door. We were actually in a tapping group and we went to just close the door, obviously, and she said, no, you've got to leave the door open. Well, you can imagine, it's like, okay, this is what we're tapping on today. And we just did 2 rounds on the feeling of being able to close the door. And she said, oh yeah, you can close the door now. Oh, I'm fine. And she said, but don't turn the light off. Wow, imagine saying that to me. Like, okay, let's go turn the light off. And she's like, and she said, I can't even go to the movies because I can't stand sitting in the dark. It's like, what impact on her life where she avoids lifts, she hates aeroplanes, and she doesn't want to go to the movies. So this little fear that she just sees as just a normal part of her life is impacting all of these fun things that she could be doing. So, of course, we tapped on that. And within a minute, she was like, oh, yeah, that's all right. Oh, I can see a bit of light out the window. And this is one of the classics that happen. People forget very quickly what their fear was. And they go, oh, yeah, it's all right. So we had to blacken the door off then and then tap on the dark room. And we kept doing that and she was fine. Of course, then the test is to see what happens in a different environment. And it wasn't very many days later that apparently the electricity went off in her house. And she was fine. Not happy, but she said she was able to get the phone to work, to get the torch, find the way out of the house and go to the next door neighbours to go and sort of like, can you figure out why I haven't got any electricity? That's from a person who said if that had happened in the past, she would have sat on the floor and felt just overwhelmed by fear and not known what to do. But that's how much tapping can change your life. So today what I've got for you is, if you go to the link below, I've got a tapping journal, just a page, so you can print out the pages as you need. And this is for you to write down your particular issue. So whether it's a fear like the fear of the dark, or whether it's a phobia of spiders, or whether it is about self-love, or about our normal topic, which is making money, write down what the topic is. What is the fear? What is the thing that's bothering you? And just go through the journal, filling it out, tap on it, and see if you can get that number down to the low numbers, the 2 3s or under. And I suggest you keep these pages, put them somewhere safe, because you will be surprised if you keep doing this, just how much your life will change. And it changes so much that you actually don't realise it's changed. And it's only when you go back and read your journal and realise that you tapped on this fear of the dark, or this fear of no one will love you, or you'll never be able to make a certain amount of money. And you'll go back and read those and go, oh, wow, I actually wrote that down 6 months ago and I'd completely forgotten. That problem has so far gone out of my life that it's not even something I remember. And that's how tapping will change your life. So go in and get the workbook below, and I would love to hear your comments and see how you go. Bye for now and happy tapping.